Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Ross with 714 Ministries International. Look us up on the website, 714ministries.com, and see what God is doing through this ministry. But in the meantime, we're on day 20, Proverbs 20, and I want to read to you some of the titles that I found, topic titles, topics that are found in Proverbs 20, and I found quite a few. I encourage you, once you hear these, if one of these touches a place in your heart, look this proverb up, read it, find the one that applies to your life in that moment, and memorize it. Make it a part of who you are, okay? Proverbs 20, filled but empty. Filled but empty. Don't poke the bear or the lion. Seek to be righteous, not right. You don't reap what you don't sow. Ask questions, go deeper. Narcissistic tendencies. What's your legacy? Play fair all the time. Wake up, get up, stay up. Knowledge is power, and speaking truth is priceless. Fleeting pleasures and stark realities. Plan before your project. Wage a wise war. The foolish side of flattery. Prodigal sons. My God fights for me. The danger of deceit and the fallacy of fraud. False promises and fake lives. Exercise your authority. It's what's on the inside that counts. The seasons of life, and the last topic is no pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. Let me read to you verse 6 and confess my own failures in this area and explain how I express myself and why I do it, but why I shouldn't. So it says in verse 6 of Proverbs chapter 20, most men will proclaim each his own goodness, but who can find a faithful man? So my wife called me out on this recently, and it's been an issue in my life for quite some time. I tell people all these incredible things I've been able to be a part of, or things that I've done that I'm proud of. And it's basically tooting my own horn. Now, in my mind, I'm doing it not to make myself look better. Most of the time, not to make myself look better, but to validate myself, which is very interesting because God really worked on me over the last 48 hours of, you don't have to validate yourself. I will do that for you. And I felt like I had to really push myself out there and say, look, this is what I've done. This is what I've accomplished. This is who I am. See, because and some of it dealt with a ministry opportunity to sort of tell them this is what I bring to the table. And so it did have some value to it. But God really worked on me and said, you know what, Ross, I get what you're doing. I get that you're trying to validate your strengths so that people can see them and say, we want this man to be a part of our team because he brings this strings to the table. But at some point, you just got to let God work that out. Now, if people ask questions, if they say, why should we consider you, or why should we support this mission or this ministry? That's an opportunity in grace and in humility to say, okay, well, this is why, and this is what, and this is where, and this is what God accomplished. So it has some utility, but really what I want to focus is not telling people all the great things I've done to get them to validate me and to acknowledge that I'm able, right? But I would rather just be a faithful man doing what God's called me to do and let him validate and stamp my ministry and promote me, right? And so that's what I'd want to do. Because it says, but a faithful man who can find? Just do right because it's right to do. Just keep plugging away. Just keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. And keep accomplishing what God has put in your heart and purposed you. And maybe even repurposed you. Because that's a really cool thing when you live life, but then you're broken and messed up for a time. and then God takes that broken, messed up, and repurposes it. I've seen this on these do-it-yourself shows. I've seen it on these different programs on TV where they will take something old and even like almost worthless, like it's worth maybe less than $100. But when they really put work into it and really do something great with it and pour their time and effort and energy into this project, they can sell it for $500 to $1,000 to a couple of $1,000s, when before they touched it, it wasn't worth as much. It reminds me of this story, and we'll end with this. There was an auction going on, and they had come down to the last piece in the auction, and it was basically an old violin. And people saw it, and they thought, well, it's not a Stradivarius, or it's not this or that, so yeah, I don't know if it's even worth bidding. You know, they're murmuring in the crowd, like, maybe I'll bid $25, $50. An older man who was a violinist in the back went up to the auctioneer and said, "Can I just play a few notes, I guess you would call it, on the violin?" And the auctioneer was like, "I can hear the murmuring in the crowd. They're not going to bid much on this. We're not going to make money on this violin. What does it hurt? Go ahead, old man, play." He takes the violin, he strokes it a few times, gets it right, tunes it in a little bit, and then beautifully, just with a majesty, plays on the strings of that violin and literally brought the violin to life, right? And then after he'd played a song, he gave it back to the auctioneer, who set it back on the stand, and he walked back to the back of the room. The bids started out at hundreds and thousands and got up to $10,000 to $12,000 of bidding for this violin that, before it was touched by the master's hand, it had no value. People could not see the value. But when the master got a hold of the violin and played that beautiful song, the value of that violin rose, and the esteem of that violin rose in the hearts of the people to the bid it out at $12,000. That's you and me. We're that old violin. People see us and they're like, who are they? What are, they don't give us much value. But when God, the master, places his hands on our life and makes beautiful music out of our life, the world sees the value that God always saw in us. I hope that blessed you. Have a great day.